Well over a year ago, I told you, my fellow Switch watchers and RPG connoisseurs, all the best Switch RPGs that are only available physically as an import from Japan or other Asian regions. Well, a lot can change in over a year, and so it's time to delve back into the imports that RPG fans need to take a look at. Obviously, we could debate all day long about what constitutes as an RPG. It's a very loose term, but to stop this video getting out of hand, I'm gonna keep it as traditional as possible, mostly turn-based on the Japanese end of things, and I may make exceptions here and there just to annoy some people, but hey, that's what I do. Let's take a look. Romancing Saga 3 was an unexpected but delightful physical release. Originally, it was a Super Famicom RPG that never saw a Western release until now. While this initially flew under the radar for many Switch and JRPG fans, it's always been a steady seller, and I would consider it one of the most popular imports around, hence why I included it in that very video talking about the most popular imports of all time. Plus, very recently, it got a second release with new artwork. I have the original, but then to celebrate the added translations, this gorgeous beast appeared, and for a better price too. If you need some 16-bit JRPG goodness in your life, then this is one to import. The only issue is deciding which cover art you like better. If you want the SaGa series to step up to 32-bit, then you'll want to take a look at the game's sequel, SaGa Frontier Remastered. Yes, this was originally a PS1 game, now brought up to HD, and it's just fantastic. One of the best JRPGs on the system, and the physical release is so far exclusive to Southeast Asia. This is a brilliant game featuring the same kind of non-linear style gameplay the series is known for. You can choose between 8 protagonists whose stories overlap, and you'll have almost a different experience every time you play. It is brilliant, and I highly recommend you check out my review for a more in-depth look into it. Although be warned, you probably won't be leaving without spending your cash. Final Fantasy IX is a wonderful RPG. Many consider it to be the best in the series. And while it's not my personal favourite, it is still right up there and one of the most popular in the franchise. Perhaps the greatest celebration of the Final Fantasy series up till this point, RPG fans are almost required to have this in their collection. It has some funky box art and is easily one of the most prized imports, and it's one of the most popular imports out there for a good reason. Real shame this never got a Western physical, only one in Southeast Asia. Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3 really cemented what it was to be a JRPG. They are truly the grandfathers of the genre and kicked off a legendary franchise that people love just as much today, and is perhaps the only true rival to Final Fantasy, despite being from the same company. Asia got a fantastic little package in Dragon Quest Trilogy. Here you get the first 3 games in one. They're remastered, which some people don't like, which I understand, but I thought they looked alright. Check out my overview review of this little package to see what it's all about. And you know, if you're a JRPG fan, you should probably own this because it's kind of like a certificate of you truly being a JRPG fan. Am Setsuna is the grandfather of Nintendo Switch imports. This was a launch title for the Switch in Japan. It was the first physical exclusive that also included English on the cartridge, truly a pioneer of Switch imports. Since then, this simple JRPG from Square Enix and Tokyo RPG Factory is released physically in Japan, Southeast Asia, Hong Kong, and even Korea, but not in the West. This is not the greatest JRPG out there, but as a game that tries to go for a Chrono Trigger vibe in terms of its combat, it's not a bad option, and is often considered the best in the trilogy that the studio has made so far. And just remember guys, if any of these delicious RPGs take your fancy today, then consider using the links below in the description and the pinned comment. I've put all the games in this list there and where you can buy them and add them to your collection to keep forever. They're yours. And if you use our links, then it also helps support us at the same time, massively so, as we do earn a small percentage, and we cannot thank you enough for your wonderful support over these years. And in return, if you use our links, then you can also get a very nice 5% off any physical item from PlayAsia if you use the coupon code SwitchWatchTV while checking out. That's all one word, SwitchWatchTV, for 5% off any physical item from PlayAsia. And just be warned, the info you're getting today is correct at the time. Things can and may change for a couple of games in this list. Maybe some will get a Western release in the future. Don't be angry at me. Quest of Dungeons is a roguelike RPG going rather retro. It's a super simple game that's perfect for short sessions, and if you don't fancy too much of a headache with options, stats and the like, pick up and play as you try to grab the loot. Not the most essential import out there, but one for those who like something a bit obscure and decent too. To believe there are so many mainline Final Fantasy games on the Switch, it just seems like a miracle. It almost makes me believe there are higher beings out there, and most of them are available physically too. The games, not the higher beings. Final Fantasy VII and VIII got a double pack in Asia, which was a massive import when it initially released, and since the last video, Europe actually got that released eventually too, so it's not a true import in my eyes anymore, but North America, still, you ain't got it, which is mental. So you should either buy this one or the European one to import. I have the links below for both. Two quality games in one of which is my favorite game of all time, and the other is Final Fantasy VIII. Katana Kami, A Way of the Samurai story, is a spin-off of the long-missed Way of the Samurai series. From a top-down viewpoint, this is an action dungeon crawling RPG where you loot your enemy in order to save the girl, buying her freedom. This is a chunky game with 3 large dungeons. As you make your way through the first few hours, it can be a little bit slow, but you'll be opening up a rather rewarding game. It also has some pretty badass box art as well. The Atelier Dusk Trilogy is perhaps the release dreams are made of. 3 charming JRPGs that should have been destined for an eShop only release, but they were miraculously put on one cartridge together with English thanks to PlayAsia. These Atelier games are breezy JRPGs where you venture out into the world looting materials and then getting your alchemical skills put to the test to make new things. They're full of personality, which is always the strong point of the series, and this is a lot of bang for your buck and surely one of the highlights for any Switch collection. But wait, there's more. If you thought one triple pack was good, how about a double helping of triple packness? Because there is another, ladies and gentlefolk. Yes, the Atelier Mysterious Trilogy is pretty much the same deal. You get 3 more games in the very lovable series, more recent than the last ones, but just as lovely. You get Atelier Lady Suelle, Sophie, and Firis, all fine games in their own right, and if you can't get enough Atelier in your life, be sure to check out my comprehensive review of both of these triple packness. Definitely worth a look. The Super Robot Wars games are just magnificent, and the Nintendo Switch is currently graced with 3 of them, all of them only available physically in the East: Super Robot Wars V, Super Robot Wars X, and Super Robot Wars T are all fantastic strategy RPGs. Perhaps more style than substance, but my god, what style it is. Just badass. Dozens of anime mechs from different series, all coming together with fantastic attack animations. These are the quintessential imports for the Switch. For V and X you can import any version since they all have English, but with T you have to be a little more careful. Do not buy the Japanese one as that does not have English. The link I have put below in the description is the one that you want. Just don't make a mistake, okay? I will guide you. But wait, there's more, because in October, on the 4th, there is a new Super Robot Wars game coming to the Switch, a celebration of the series' 30th anniversary. That is looking pretty badass too. Pre-order links are below for that one. Don't miss out. World of Final Fantasy Maxima is a celebration of the Final Fantasy series, bringing back many well-loved characters and making an almost Pokemon-like game out of it as you capture mirages to train and fight for you. This is the definitive version, including all of the DLC, and is a fine addition to any JRPG fans collection. Plus, the music is awesome, as you'd expect from a celebration of the series. Don't sleep on this one, it is rather overlooked in my opinion. Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon is an enhanced port of the cult classic Wii game. It's Final Fantasy's take on the Mystery Dungeon style of gameplay where you delve into dungeons to help the townsfolk regain their memories. It's a simple take on the genre, but one with a lot of polish, charm, and an absolutely amazing soundtrack full of reimagined songs from the franchise's glorious history. Yes, just like World of Final Fantasy. It is a fantastic game, very underrated, and more accessible than ever for those interested in getting into the Mystery Dungeon genre, which is not the easiest to get into. Sadly, only Japan got a physical release of this, but thankfully, it is ripe for import due to English being on the cartridge. Citizens Unite is a double pack of 2 RPGs, both inspired by the classics. Citizens of Earth is inspired by Earthbound, while Space is inspired by the Mario and Luigi RPGs. Both are really fun and well put together indie RPGs with some humorous writing and plenty of content. Plus, in this double pack, they've actually been melded together into one game. You can freely switch between the two games, and new content has been added to weld them together into one. It's a very unique way of doing it. Check out my review for more information. Omega Labyrinth Life is perhaps the king of the lewds, and by that we mean raunchy, naughty games where it's more about the fan service than gameplay. But thankfully, Omega is one of the few that actually has half decent gameplay to back it up. This is a loose mystery dungeon style game RPG where you have to bring your prestigious academy back to life. It is simple but fun, although you may end up blushing at all the fan service going on. This game don't play around. When you level up, your boobs get bigger and bigger. All I'll say is check out my review and the gameplay video just to see what it's really like. I mean, YouTube tried to nuke those two videos. It doesn't like those two videos, but check it out and you'll definitely get a better idea of what it's all about. There is a standard edition for this and a collector's edition which I can vouch for as being magnificent. Eternal Radiance is an upcoming import exclusive. This is a game being published by One Print Games as an action RPG mixed with visual novel. It looks pretty and is charming as Celeste goes on an adventure with a couple of friends in order to prove her worth as a knight. You can't pre-order this from One Print Games just yet, probably very soon though from what I've heard, but you can already pre-order it in a limited triple pack and save some cash. Remember, this is only available at oneprintgames.com. Mistover is an often overlooked import RPG because, like a few others, the physical release came a while after the digital one. This is an RPG with a very darkly theme to it. It can be full of deep mechanics as you traverse dungeons and face off against the mist. It's a consequence-based game too, since what you do can affect what happens in the future. Not essential, but definitely worth looking into, and I believe there is a demo on the eShop so you can try before you buy. Taiko No Tatsujin as an RPG, yes, that is a thing, and yes, you're welcome that I've just introduced it to you. The ultra-lovable Taiko No Tatsujin rhythm gameplay smashed into an RPG adventure as you fight random battles and bosses by timing the beats perfectly. You wander around talking to NPCs in a very simplified way, but my word is it's super enjoyable. And not only that, but this is two games in one. Yes, two RPGs bundled together, and it will just make you happy. It will do. Make sure to buy the Japanese or Southeast Asian version, as those are the ones with English, and once again, you're welcome. Please check out my review for more information. While Final Fantasy X and X Part 2 may have a Western physical release, there is something far more special about the import versions from Hong Kong and Japan. The Western release was a bit crap, if we're being brutally honest. Of the two games, only the first was on the cartridge, while the second one had to be downloaded via an update. The Asian release, far more better because both games are on the cartridge with no download required. It's yours and you own them both forever. No relying on servers in the future. You've still got them 20 years from now. Final Fantasy X is a fantastic game, one of my favorite games of all time, and I've certainly warmed up to X Part 2 as I've gotten older. It is an essential import. Aria Chronicle is a JRPG mixed with some rogue-like elements. Think Final Fantasy mixed with Darkest Dungeon, and you're not far off. It has really nice artwork and seemingly fun systems that fans of something a bit more hardcore will enjoy. Probably one of the more understated RPGs on this list due to the low amount of stock, but it's now restocked and ready to go if you want to add it to your collection. Kemco RPG Selection Volume 1 is a Japanese release that includes 4 JRPGs on one cartridge. This is from a company that are known for their budget titles, and these are very much par for the course. As long as you don't go in with high expectations, you can experience 4 simple JRPGs. This selection includes a few of the company's most well-known titles: Dragon Sinker, Revenant Saga, Antiquia Lost, and As Divine Hearts. The biggest surprise is there aren't more of these volumes. I think PS4 is up to 8 or something ridiculous. And there is also a slightly different package of a second Kemco release, but this is an Asian regions exclusive, not Japanese. This is called the RPG Kemco Ominbus, which includes Revenant Dogma, Illusions of Elphasia, Cronus Arc, and Legend of the Tetrarchs, which are perhaps some of their lesser known titles. This makes it a rather quick release despite the budget quality of the games themselves. Once again, this is one for collectors out there who may have missed something obscure like this. Legend of Mana Remastered is yet another remastered PS1 RPG from Square Enix. Keep pumping them out, boys, because I will still eat them all up, and you guys are too, because this sold like hotcakes. Sold out within a day of release, and people are still waiting for their back orders. This is easily one of the most popular imports of all time, and for good reason. It is absolutely beautiful, enigmatic, fun, action, tons of content. It is a top tier game in its own right, never mind just as an import. Highly recommended. Don't miss out on potential restocks of this classic RPG that has a real heart to it like no other. Please check out my review for more information. You won't want to miss it. Moero Crystal H is exclusive to Asian regions via Play Asia. This is the first time it's available in English, and it's a raunchy dungeon crawling RPG. Lots of risque elements that make it an adult-oriented title for those interested in a fan service. It is supposedly a decent, lengthy game as well. It has some meat to go along with it, so to speak. I always like a side serving of meat alongside my fan service. Sadly, the Great Collector's Edition is sold out. It's been sold out for a long time, but there are still some standard editions available. Don't miss out. Once they're gone, they're gone. Dungeon and Gravestone is a rather basic mystery dungeon style game that really emphasizes the mystery. Yes, this is a slightly basic looking game, but a surprising depth that I still didn't fully understand even after my review, which you should check out by the way. This one is definitely flying under the radar, but if you enjoy mystery dungeon games, this indie variant is definitely one to keep an eye out on. If you want a proper, legendary mystery dungeon style RPG, then look no further than Shiren the Wanderer. Sure, this was done by a limited run in North America, but the Japanese version is still readily available. This is a series I'm rather a fan of, and I really should add this to my collection. I love the gameplay style here, my favorite kind of roguelike. The Japanese version even comes in a little box with an art book. Oninaki is only slightly relevant for this list. The game did see a limited physical release in various Western territories, especially in Europe, but it's not the easiest or cheapest game to get a hold of. But anyways, the Japanese and more recent Asian physical releases do have English and is widely available for import. This is a third game from RPG Factory, the makers of the aforementioned Lost Sphere and Am Setsuna. It's supposedly half decent, not quite as good as Setsuna, but, you know, better than Lost Sphere. Marchen Forest is perhaps one of the weirdest games that I have ever played, and I play some weird shit, you guys know that. This is kind of like 3 games in one, which kind of gives the feeling that the developer changed the game's direction 3 times during production, but then decided to slam them all together. And well, it's interesting. The first part is just weird, the second part is also just kind of weird, but then you can see it developing in the third and final act. Kind of feels like a, I don't know, a proper game. I really can't explain this. The RPG mechanics are light, but you need to check this little odd curiosity out. There's a standard edition, as well as a fantastic collector's edition, which includes a nice statue. And yeah, if you want to just look at the weirdness, watch my review. I probably don't actually get my point across at how weird it is, but maybe you'll get a small idea. If Super Robot Wars was too much of a pushover for you, then turn your attention to SD Gundam G-Generation Cross Race. It's a bit of a mouthful, but much like Super Robot Wars, it's a great strategy RPG that fans of Gundam will get a massive kick out of. It does not pull any punches either. You can follow storylines of many of the Gundam series, each of which feels like it follows episodes of the anime, so there's a lot of variety here. It may not offer the same wow factor as Super Robot Wars, but the pandering to Gundam fans is a dream come true. This is a massive, chunky game packed with Gundam goodness. Even better, there was a definitive edition released not too long ago called the Cross Race Platinum Edition, which includes all the DLC and a decent price point, at least it was at the time of release. That is definitely the version to get these days, the Platinum Edition. But wait, there's more. There's always more. If you need more Gundam in your life, the previous game in the series, SD Gundam G-Generation Genesis, man, they love their G's. This was released before on the Switch, but did not have English until now. Yes, thanks to the Southeast Asian version from Singapore. That is the one you want. Don't get the Japanese or Chinese versions, as they don't have English. I think due to its region, this one is massively overlooked compared to Cross Rays, which I think is a shame. It's the same great goodness now in English, and this will definitely be harder to find in the future, I am 100% sure. Empire of Angels was a PlayAsia exclusive release, a strategy RPG that includes some fine character artwork. Perhaps the in-game graphics are rather unappealing, but I surprisingly enjoyed my time with it. The PlayAsia exclusive variant is sadly sold out now, but there are some Chinese cover versions which do play in English if you can find that. Check out my review for more information on this game. Okay, so Ultra Age may not fit the grand classical definition of an RPG, but to be honest, I just want to plug my latest review. Yes, I have got a review for Ultra Age coming on Thursday, so please be there to watch it. This is an action hack and slash RPG-ish kind of game with plenty of upgrades and lots of chaotic, high-octane hacking and slashing action goodiness thing. Although I am embargoed to say any opinions on it, so yeah, watch my review. I will think you'll definitely want to watch it. There's been hints at this coming as a Western physical in some capacity in the future, but for now, the Japanese version may have to suffice. Alright, so far we've had some good games, some decent games, and some absolutely stellar titles. But hey, like last year, let's end with some absolute bobbins. The third of the list, World Neverland, is a kingdom simulation game with mild RPG elements. While you mine, farm, date, cook, and so on, you also battle it out against monsters in what is perhaps the worst looking game on the Nintendo Switch. It looks truly awful in pretty much every aspect and should only be added to the collection as a morbid curiosity, or if you're completely insane. I have seen very few people willing to put money down on this complete guffage. And there we have it, guys, 36, I think, Switch RPGs that have physical releases only available in Japan and Asia. It is a shame, but hey, at least those regions are taking care of the rest of the world. If you enjoyed this list and like some physical goodness, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. And consider using the links in the description if you want to purchase anything mentioned here today. Special thanks to our executive producers Dane Wilkinson, God of Resin, Boombox, Brent McLean, Jonathan Rumor, Santa Tartaruga, Alexander Cato, JCross7776, Elissa, Punky Dooster, Michael Del Polito, Cartoon Soren, Jack Severus, Vilos, Robotech, and Z. Thank you ever so much for your support. Plus you, yes, you watching right now. If you watched all the way through, you are a legend as always. Give me a high five in the comments because you are the ones who help this channel grow. Check out some of our other stuff, lots of physical goodness. Every Monday I take you through all the physical Switch releases, plus lots of import niceties. We'll see you guys over there. Have a good one.